we come together to congratulate a person who has contributed a lot in the area of formation.
Some time ago, end of the 1960s, theologians met in a conference in Europe, and one of them reported at the end of the conference that after the Galileo case, the church made friends with the physical sciences, but she has still to make friends with the human and biological sciences. But our dear Johny has started that dialogue.
The book is titled Formation Towards Psychosexual and Celibate Integration. The word integration would imply that our own experiences are made to become part of us. What is not part of us do not integrate into our lives. So when we speak of psychosexual integration, we are talking about our own experience of sexuality and all that is associated with our sexuality, whether it is lustful desires, our sexual fantasies, urges and desire for a sexual union, and all that is associated with sexuality to become a part of us. That when it becomes a part of us, we do not see sexuality as something that is inimical to us, but a very friendly God-given gift which makes us happy, healthy, loving, good human beings. So psychosexual integration would mean that our sexuality becomes really a part of us and not something that we wish that it is not there. So that's the meaning of psychosexual integration. The inspiration to write this book comes from my 23 years of experience in formation communities, basically starting from aspirant to post-novitiate formation. One of the challenging tasks of a formator is to assist a formee to explore his or her own experience of sexuality. Sexuality is one of the most powerful means that God has given us to relate with others, with oneself, with the environment and with God. Unfortunately, in our formation process, somehow we neglect this most important aspect of formation. Over the years, I have realized the importance of assisting our formees to accept their own experience of sexuality and see sexuality as one of the most important sources one has to live life in a very happy, healthy, loving manner. This is what actually inspired me to write this book. This book basically helps a formee to understand sexuality objectively. I have tried with the help of the book build team that we do not spiritualize our sexuality, but it helps a formee to accept his or her own sexuality as a beautiful experience. There's a taboo attached to sexuality, something that you should not talk about. In fact, when people have sexual thoughts, they speak of sexual thoughts as bad thoughts. Sexual thoughts cannot be bad thoughts because God created us sexual and it is good in itself. And so that kind of an attitude has come into us, into our formees also into the general public, because of the kind of attitude that we have created over the years. So the book basically helps for me, a candidate, to accept and appreciate sexuality, to cherish one's sexuality and to nourish it. Besides, this book speaks about the sexual wounds. A sexual wound is an experience that's painful in the area of sexuality. So sexual wound can come in so many ways: sexual abuse, sexual harassment, and so on. And here in the book we deal about these type of sexual wounds and how one can be healed from these sexual wounds. The book also deals with certain issues like masturbation, pornography, deviant sexual fantasies, and so on. Our formies have difficulties in this area, but they do not find a safe space where they can share these experiences of theirs. The book helps them to understand, and if necessary, to take up those issues with their formators or people who are qualified to help them in this area. Towards the end of the book, I've included a chapter two chapters, where I speak of living sexuality as a married person or living sexuality as a celibate. A person can make a choice, a deeply personal choice, whether it is a married life or in celibate life. The demands of sexuality in terms of living a morally rightful life is the same. So that's more or less the content of this book. Definitely this book is targeting formies, but it's also meant for young people, because the issues that young people go through, whether they are in a formation house or in living in the family, the challenges are the same. And so the book, although targeted our formies, candidates to religious and priestly life, it also can be a big help for young people. This book can be utilized in its maximum possibility only if the formator is comfortable to deal with the area of sexuality. I have my doubts as how many of our formators are comfortable to talk about sexuality. I say this because in the past we have almost neglected this psychosexual area, except for a small talk or a couple of classes. Basically, my understanding is that if the formator is able to handle these issues, then the formies will be able to handle. So primarily, the formator has to feel confident to deal with this subject. Then I am sure the formies will benefit immensely from this book. What you are passionate about, you will find time. And not that I am passionate about sex, but helping our formies to integrate their sexuality into their life, which would help them to live a healthy celibate life, I was very passionate about. And so ever since I did my studies abroad and I returned, I realized that this is an area that we have neglected, and I began to help our formies a lot about helping them to integrate their sexuality into their lives. In that process, when our Salesian formation team of India took up this task and I was asked to write this book, I immediately said yes, because I knew I have the material, I have the competence, and I have the experience more than anything else to put into words what our candidates go through and how our formators can help them. And so, although I had full-time pastoral work, I would eke out time from some days, or I would set aside a full day only for writing, or some evenings I would find time. Besides, it took us about 3 years to complete this book, and so there was enough time to write this book. I do have felt the need to write for young people, changing some structural part of the book, but basically the content will remain same. Maybe the method of putting across will change. I already thought of working at a book for young people. My final word is, I think, very much depends on the formator. The formator has an integral sexuality, he or she will be able to communicate that to the formees, and the formees will pick up from our formators their lifestyle, their way of life, and the life of the formator itself will invite the formee to entrust himself or herself and her life experiences in the hand of God through the formator. I think the formator has a very, very major role to play in order to help our formees to move towards a psychosexually integrated life. Thank you. God bless you.